Hello, man. Buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, or whatever is the time where you are right now. When I was around 13 to 14 years old, I was still in Venezuela and I was in high school. It was the time when all the girls and boys have like their hormones through the roof. And I remember how it was to be the main topic, things like who was like the girlfriend or the boyfriend of who, or these guys cheat with each other, that kind of drama that you see in high school. The guys used to speak about the girlfriends that they were having, and around that time they started to have sex. For other countries, it may be like too young or premature to even be talking about that, but in Venezuela, it was kind of common, I'm not gonna lie. It was common for the guys to be in this environment that I was feeling kind of behind. Because they already had like a bunch of girlfriends and a bunch of girls being into them. And actually, sooner than later, I was going to have the chance to have that experience for the first time. I was still very young. So today I want to share with you the experiences that I learned starting my sex life in my teens. My name is Jesus Noya, and I'm a Venezuelan man with the goal of helping men to last longer in bed, become sexually dominant, and be more attractive, while avoiding the deadly mistakes that I made through my sex life. This comes from my years of dating experience in South America, alongside with other struggles that I had to go through, like premature ejaculation, performance anxiety, and non-existent sexual confidence, as well as the time when I was a medicine student. If you're around like 14 to 18 years old, maybe a little bit older, and you're dating a girl right now, things are like escalating, and that sex is something that may happen soon. You might be wondering things like if you should do it, if this is actually the right time, if you're too young for starting your sex life, or when it would be the ideal time to actually start it. I want this video to clarify those questions and also give you some valuable insights. But just very quick, if you're experiencing things like premature ejaculation, performance anxiety, if you want to be able to overcome those things fast and accelerate the process for you to become a sex god, you can go and click the link in the description right now, and that way we can work together on making that reality for you as soon as possible. But now let's jump into the video. When I was like 14, I had like my second serious girlfriend. It wasn't like super serious, but in comparison with others where we were like just casual dating or something, I actually asked her if she could be my girlfriend, and we were kind of like visiting each other and making public our relationship. That's why I say it was kind of serious, or more than serious. Let's say that she was my official girlfriend. I used to visit her from time to time. Her parents didn't used to be there, and her older sister was the only next person in the house. She was very cool and didn't care, to be honest, what we were doing, probably because I gave like this kind of safe boy kind of energy. One day her sister was out, so it was basically just me and my girlfriend there, and we're just like talking and holding hands or thinking about the future, just like having that kind of wholesome time together, as it used to be anytime that I visited her. But as we know that we were alone, it was a little bit of tension in the air. In one moment, she kind of started to like show me other parts of the house that I didn't see before, and she goes into her room, starts to lay down, and it kind of like lifts up her shirt a little bit, like just like showing her stomach. And in that moment, I kind of understood the signs. I have 14 years old, full of sex drive, with a beautiful girlfriend alone in her house. So what do you think that I did? I did nothing. Even if I used to be horny basically all the time, and I knew that could be the chance for me to have my first sex experience, there was like a voice in my head asking if that was actually the right thing to do. Because even if I liked the girl, I didn't know if I loved her. I didn't know if I wanted to be with her for the rest of my life. I didn't know if I want to marry her. After going through this thinking, I'm also seeing at her, because even if she was in that position, she was like nervous and kind of like shaky. When girls like you in that way, that they have like that kind of very cute anxiety when they're with you. I didn't want to take that risk if I wasn't 100% sure. So I kind of just entered the room, say that it was a nice room, and then went out like I was going to drink water or something. Then she just went out of the room, locked it, and we just kept talking as always and kissing from time to time. It didn't escalate at all, and by the time that we break up a couple of months after that, I never like touch her or have any sexual experiences with her, because that voice in my head that I had back then was very present through our relationship. Now, a lot of guys could proceed, right? They probably would have taken the chance to have sex with her, and a lot of guys actually do it. I know that they have that voice and still just like shut it up and go and proceed. But those kind of guys that don't listen to like their morals and their values, like the inner voice that they have in themselves to tell them what is bad or what is good, those guys are part of the reason of why a lot of women are so like resentful and hateful toward men nowadays. I knew that, and I didn't want to form part of it. So if you're going through a similar situation and you're hearing like that inner voice telling you that you're not sure, that you're not that secure, that you don't even know if it should be with this girl, bro, listen to that voice. You don't have to rush to do it right now, even if your girl wants it, even if she's giving you obvious signs. If you have that moral compass, the version of you that listen to it is always going to be way better than the ones that just guided by pleasure. A couple of months after that relationship ended, I was still kind of proud for taking that decision. But in contrast, my classmates kept talking about the girls that they were having sex with, or the girlfriend that they have, and that kind of stuff. One day, one of those classmates that, to be honest, for me, he seemed very, very gay, like homosexual. Like in the mannerisms, in the way that he spoke, I couldn't even imagine him being with a woman. For some reason in Venezuela, there's like these type of men that are like that, but they try to cover like speaking and explaining that they've been sleeping with XYZ girl. This guy, me, and a couple of friends used to spend some time together in class or in other areas because he was kind of funny, you know. So he knew me and kinda know a little bit about my values. Comes with a gear. Like, bro, I was like, what? Like, I think like the same, like 14 years old back then still. And I remember seeing this gear, bro. Like, you know, this kind of a stereotype of Latina women. Well, this was very similar to that one, right? She was 2 years older than us. She was closing to graduate while we just were in the middle of high school. But this guy apparently was a good friend of her. He presents her to me and we're just kind of like talking about random stuff. In one moment, as this guy is very eloquent, starts to speak more about sex and everything. And I see that the gear is kind of receptive to that conversation. Like even being kind of lascive in her expressions. And I was noticing this. And I'm not gonna lie, I was feeling horny just by seeing her. This guy then started to speak to me and say that he could organize for us to have sex together. And I was kind of shocked when he said that, like feeling all shy and nervous. And the guy started to say to the girl, like, yeah, you know, he's a virgin, he's a very nice guy, and you know, she can teach you how to have sex so you guys can spend like a very good time together. And the gear just started to laugh and say that, yeah, it would be fun. I didn't know if he was joking with me, but in the future, as they both mentioned it a couple of times, I kind of started to take it seriously. And for a couple of weeks, I kind of waited the decision in my mind because, again, this gear was super, super sexy, right? And you know, it could be a joke, it could be a prank that they were playing with me, but a part of me wanted to try and take the risk. In my reflection, when I was almost going to take the decision of going to him and tell him, okay, let's organize date, time, and place, I thought to myself, is this how I really want my first time to be? You know, with a random girl in a random place, organized by a guy that was acting like a pimp. Wasn't that contrary of what happened just a couple of months ago with my other girlfriend, where I didn't take the chance because I wasn't sure, and this time I'm sure? Why do I even want to do that? Because the girl is sexy? Because I'm horny? Isn't that very contradicting with my values? And you know, for some people, or maybe even for you may be thinking that the guy and the girl were playing with me, right? That it wasn't even serious. Why I was even just waiting that decision? But it's not actually that crazy. I already saw people and even a couple of my friends organizing having sex like that, right? They met a girl, kind of like each other, and they just say, okay, date, time, and place. That's it. So it wasn't absurd that this proposition could be real. Anyways, even if this was an next time to have sex with an ex-gear that I felt very attracted sexually for how sexy she was, I think it would be super degenerate and sad if that was how I was going to have my first time. And the saddest part is that that's how a lot of people lose their virginity or are having just sex normally, you know. It's not this beautiful experience of a man and a woman knowing each other and having feelings and trying to like have a link and a real deep bond and engaging in sex as a way to deepen this bond way more. They're not doing that. They're just going about like a quick search of pleasure. And it's not even just in teenage. That's for adults as well. Listen, it is important how you choose the people that you're going to have sex with. Because even if society, men, women, or whoever want to deny it, there's an inherent value and significance in there. It has to be some kind of attachment and connection. And that attachment, it doesn't matter how small it is, it will mark you for some significant time, or maybe even a couple of relationships. You're still gonna have like thoughts or thinking about those past experiences. A female friend of mine used to describe this as emotional corpses or ghosts. Like anytime that you have sex with someone and then for whatever reason it stops or the relationship break up, and that situation that now it's over, call it relationship, call it casual sex, call it however you want to call it, it's people that either they develop some feelings for you or you develop some feelings for her, and those kind of things are going to be present or on your mind from time to time. This is because, as I already said, sex has a lot of emotional and spiritual value. So anytime you have sex with someone and then you jump to the next partner, you have to be conscious that it will never be the same, right? And same with losing your virginity. You will not have a second chance. And if you didn't choose well, if you have sex just with random people for the sake of pleasure, the scars that are going to be left are very difficult to eliminate. I don't think that it's impossible, but it's just very, very difficult. Men go through a breakup and deal with months or even years of actual pain. So this is how I would go about. I was 15 years old at the time where I actually lost my virginity. I had other chances to have sex before, but I just didn't want to. And I'm not gonna lie, there were other times where I tried tried to push it with some girls, but they just rejected me. I'm actually glad that they did, right? Because it wouldn't be in such a degenerate and dirty way that I know that I would regret about after. But with this specific girl, I used to feel like full of love for her, and I could see the same in her eyes and the way she treated me. So in this case, when I was thinking about like a future together or like sharing things with her, it actually made sense. And this time I wasn't 100% sure either. I still had some doubts, I was feeling nervous, but I knew that the feelings that I have for her were genuine and a little bit more deeper than just sexual attraction or something else. I knew that it was going to be something that I wouldn't regret in the future. And that's exactly how it was. Even if we ended up breaking up still and eventually we had to deal with a lot of bullshit, I'm actually glad for that experience. Couldn't be better, but at the same time, I'm just grateful that it was with her, not with someone else. And that feeling that I have right now, that kind of gratitude, is what I want you to experience. That's why I'm encouraging you to give the importance that it deserves when it comes to choosing the right women that you can have sex with. Actually, if I was able to control your life and I would decide when you're going to have sex, I would just keep it for the time you get married. And you may think that that's old-fashioned or realistic, not practical, whatever. But the thing is that it actually makes sense, right? Because if you're going to wait until marriage to have sex, first of all, it's going to force you to basically be with the right women, because you're not going to marry just any hoe for the sake of having sex as soon as possible, right? So men do that, but they regret it right after because they know that the result is awful. So in this case, you're going to choose a woman for you that really wants to be your wife, that really loves you, that really wants to spend the rest of her life with you. And if that's the woman that you're choosing, your sex life is going to be astonishing. As this is the way you're going, you're gonna be avoiding a bunch of VS relationships that you would engage in the meantime because, you know, just for wedding or just for pleasure or whatever, right? And also the same thing with casual sex. You would avoid all those things because you're gonna say to yourself like, all right, I only want to spend time or I only want to have sex with who's gonna be my future wife, right? You're gonna avoid wasting time, focus, and energy, and also save you from big pitfalls like an unwished pregnancy, STDs. But also it's going to save you from learning the wrong emotional patterns and behaviors that were going to affect you in your future relationship. Because usually when you spend time or you engage in this relationship with women that aren't good for you, you end up like acting in a certain way to be able to deal with these people. Behaviors that wouldn't be good at all with the women that you actually want to spend the rest of your life with the women that's going to give you the most beautiful and fulfilling sex life. So that's why. Now, if you don't want to wait until marriage for whatever reason, I mean, that's okay. That's up to you and your values. As minimum, like the lowest barrier that you're gonna have to have sex with a woman is that you have to at least love her. Like love her in a real, meaningful, and deepful way, and be able to project a future together, whatever that means for you. It could be marriage, living together, traveling, whatever comes to your mind when I say that. There's gonna be some of you thinking that it's meaningless, that it shouldn't be like that it's still okay to have it. Anytime that I hear that, I know it's people that is just prioritizing pleasure, instant gratification, or basically just short-term kind of things. All that other love and other meaningful factors that will benefit you more in the long term, even with the things that you wanted, like that short pleasure, that was going to be better anyways. Because if you're an intelligent man, you know that it's way more worth it to be with a woman that actually loves you, that actually cares about you, that wants to have sex with you in that like passionate way, instead of being with any random girl, right? You know that it makes more sense. It's not like you're going to do this right now while you wait for the other one. It's that anytime that you're doing this one, it's going to actually delay when it's going to happen this beautiful and meaningful relationship. Because if you're wasting time here and going more this way, how come is that going to translate for you to reach her? Doesn't make sense. So yeah, I hope that from sharing my experiences, you can have like a better view of how is everything and take the best decision for you. I hope that you take the right one, the one that is going to lead you to a more fulfilling and happy life. Just very quick, man, remember that if you're experiencing things like premature ejaculation, performance anxiety, and if you want to accelerate the process for you to become a sex god, you can go and click the link in the description right now, and that way we can work together on making that a reality for you as soon as possible. But besides that, man, I really hope this helps you, and I'll see you later.